What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jay, your registered nurse here, and you know we back with another heavy hitter. And today we're gonna be talking about possible side effects, just 5, of getting that hair transplant. Now I know y'all see the rose do-rag on, and let's just take a moment. Woo! But listen, we gotta have fun, all right? Don't forget, like, it's such a scary journey. It's a long journey. And sometimes we feel alone, but listen, we created a community out here to feel safe. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, we gotta have fun too, because it's a life-changing experience. And why not just get all in? We're gonna talk about 5 potential side effects that you can get having a hair transplant, right? It's a lot of information, so I separated it into 2 videos. This is just part 1. So let's jump right in. So I just want to start off by saying anyone who gets a hair transplant, man, just live your peace, chase your happiness. Life is way too short to care about what anybody else thinks. Get your support system, but understand and know the side effects potentially that could happen. Hopefully this video can help a little bit. We're going to jump right into it now. Possible potential side effects that can happen, part 1. I'd say number 1, we're going to go with bleeding, all right? Now we have bleeding that occurs during your actual procedure, which is normal. You know, we're gonna bleed. That's why they tell us, hey, don't go drinking the night before your surgery. Don't go get wasted before the biggest day of your life. But at the same time, you gotta have a good time. But listen, don't do it before the day of your surgery. Right, we need our coagulants in our blood ready and active so we can start clotting while we're having the surgery at the right time needed. If you drink alcohol, that messes up your clotting factors and you won't clot as fast, which can lead to increased bleeding. All right, that's the first part. Second part of bleeding is sometimes you might have continuous bleeding. So a couple of days after the surgery, you might be at home. And in my experience, they told us to ice the forehead and come down. I'll show a quick clip of my swollen head. Oh shit! Oh shit! Now you're gonna bring the drainage down. However, sometimes when you do that, your head might start to bleed, or it might just be bleeding for no reason. Also, if you get an FUT, you have to watch your scalp because that might also be bleeding at a rate that it shouldn't be occurring. So you always want to notify your doctor of these things. Persistent bleeding may lead to medications that the doctor may have to prescribe for you, or you might have to come in for another check-in. They might have to have a surgical resolve to that. So number 2, I would definitely go with infection. There's not a very high chance of patients getting infected after a hair transplant. However, there's definitely still a potential side effect of it happening, all right? This is why doctors and medical staff always supply antibiotics. You want to make sure you're telling them any allergies you may have to these antibiotics, because they need to know if you're going to have an allergic reaction, if you're going to get a swollen face, if you're going to start itching, if you're going to have a swollen throat from these medications. So if you're allergic to penicillin or any other antibiotics, you want to let your medical staff know so they could properly diagnose and prescribe for you in the best way possible. Number 3, I would definitely have to say, and this is big for me because this is one of the biggest things I considered prior to getting this transplant, is keloids and scarring. Now, I've suffered from keloids before, but I've never shown you guys. So what I'll do right now is I'll show you 2 of my keloids so you guys can see I'm not just lying. So I have 1 keloid on my wrist and 1 keloid on my neck. So this is the one on my wrist. Now my second keloid is on the back of my neck. Let me see if I can get that on camera. I got that one from chickenpox when I was young. So ultimately I only have 2 keloids. However, I know some people keloid under their beard. Some people keloid from ingrown hairs popping. You can get a FUT scar keloid and the procedure still might not work. Or you can get an FUE and the tiny little, dots that they take out, the tiny little hair follicles, those can lead to 1,500, 2,000 keloids, very small in the back of your head. So these are just potential side effects to know yourself and know what you're willing to go through to get to the results you want. I took the leap of faith. I don't care. I didn't care. It was a book that I had to read. It was a chapter in the book that I had to unfold. It was a story that I had to write. Number 4, it's a risk factor of being overharvested, all right, or having a botched job. So I had a physician that you can literally Google or go on YouTube, and you'll see him, you know, on YouTube 10, 20 years ago, talking on, you know, CBS and, you know, just, you know, morning shows about giving hair transplants. I appreciated that because I know where my history is, and it's right there. It's blatant. It's in your face. I like things like that. When you have to do too much research, you don't know if you're, you know, going with a really good doctor or you're going with really good results that you see on social media. However, no matter which way it goes, just do enough research where you feel comfortable in knowing that you may not get overharvested. Overharvesting is basically when they take a larger number of hair follicles from the back of your head than the appearance of the back of your head can sustain. Ultimately, it's hard to tell, you know, but that's why really good physicians, they do a measurement per square centimeter on your head to see how much hair follicles are in that area that they can take, where the appearance, even after the surgery, it won't look so blatant. That's the goal. Just go to a good physician that knows what they're doing. So it's just having someone who's confident that won't overharvest you. But it's hard when you go overseas to have these conversations as openly, because you're talking to, you know, a person over the phone that's not the doctor. Then when you go there, you talk to the doctor, but you're already going to get the surgery. You're not going to consult really. So it's a bit tricky. At the end of the day, make sure you do your research and just be confident in the research you do. Hopefully no one gets overharvested. However, it is a potential side. So the last one I'll talk about for this video is shock loss at number 5. So shock loss is basically, you know, your body going into shock and you losing hair, or the appearance of thinning hair in areas on your head. That could be in your donor, or not even in, like I had shock loss on the side of my head. It had nothing to do with back hair. They didn't take hair from the side of my head, but you know, my body was in shock, in a state of flux, and it was healing, you know, and hair was just pulled from my scalp. So, you know, most times a lot of people who have shock loss, it's actually in, you know, the donor area, in the back. The back will look extra thin for the first, you know, month, and it could go up to 3 months where you're experiencing shock loss. I've seen on YouTube, you know, some people have shock loss maybe even 4 or 5 months, but you know, this is just something that is normal. There's a very high chance that you'll get your hair back after experiencing shock loss. It's like little to none that you won't. The main thing with shock loss, not to be nervous, still continue to take your biotin, your collagen, you know, take your growth oils, everything that you're doing as normal. Massage your scalp, drink a lot of water because you want circulation, and your body will get back into a normal state of being. But shock loss is temporary, it's not permanent, so don't be too frightened when it happens, but it can definitely be scary, because it's like, I just had a hair transplant. Why the hell am I losing hair somewhere else? I empathize. I went through it. Ultimately, consult your doctor. They'll give you some support and answers as well, and they'll help you through the process. So that's just part 1. I didn't want to overload you guys. I know sometimes these videos can get a bit tedious, so I didn't want to just give you too much information on one. So I'll come back with a part 2. And for the rest of the video, you know I'm about to do. I'm about to do the big reveal. It's not even that serious, but it is a nice do-rag though. I'm not gonna lie. So that's what we got going on so far. Low compression. This is the front. This is the left side. This is the right side. And I'm just moving around so you guys can see, you know, it in different light. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me heavy. You know what I'm saying? If you got any info, anything to add to that, put it down there in the comments and we talk about it for sure. Everything we discussed today, these are just potential possibilities that may occur. Nothing is set in stone. One person might experience this. No people might experience this. Everyone might experience this. Everybody's experience is different. Right? I experienced some of this myself. Ultimately, this is why we have this YouTube forum and family, so we can live our peace and we can be team baby heads, you feel me? All right, we're gonna stay educated. Let me know what you think, and we'll keep talking about it, all right? Like, comment, subscribe, share. It's your boy, Jay, your registered nurse, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all, you feel me? Catch y'all on that next video.